The movie began in Burma back in 1959. At that time, Burma was still under the control of the French, but in the final big battle, the French lost and had to leave the area. Because of this, there was no strong rule, and Burma became a place where European and Vietnamese war criminals found refuge. There was also this place called Den Din Chan, a labor camp where a guy named Steiner, who was hiding from German soldiers, was in charge. One day, a prisoner named Martin Tillman was taken to a small, dirty pond. It turned out that Martin was made to fight with other prisoners. Martin's fight was not too hard. With just a few punches, he managed to beat his opponent. However, Steiner, who saw the fight, told his henchman, Rastignac, to kill Martin's opponent. So, Rastignac went to do what Steiner asked. After the fight, Martin was taken back to the prison with 2 guards by his side. While they were walking through a small forest, they met Isabel, a woman from a nearby village who was just passing by. The guards were bothering Isabel, and this made Martin really angry. He attacked the guards by hitting them with his head. So, when Martin got to his cell, it was up on the highest floor of a building. He found out something interesting. Isabel actually came every week to see Steiner and bring him flowers. Martin was pretty curious about this, so he asked Isabel why she did that for Steiner, who didn't seem to care. But instead of giving an answer, Isabel turned the question around and asked if Martin wanted flowers too. Isabel thought Martin was a nice guy. She noticed how he stood up for her when the guards bothered her. Isabel believed that Martin shouldn't be locked up in prison. Martin didn't say anything in response to Isabel's question. He wasn't interested in getting flowers either. Meanwhile, in his office, Steiner got a report from one of his guys named Boone. The report was about a man who wanted to meet Steiner. Turns out, the visitor was Harrison, a police agent from England. Harrison asked Steiner to set Martin free. It turns out Martin was on the run and being looked for in England to face a trial. But Martin was valuable to Steiner. He brought in money and was the best fighter around. Steiner definitely didn't want to lose Martin. When Harrison asked where Martin was, Steiner acted like there was no prisoner named Martin in the labor camp. So, Harrison left with Boone as his escort. One afternoon, they took Martin to Steiner's room, where he met 3 of Steiner's close friends. One of them was Rastignac, who used to be part of Spain's special forces. Then there's Boone, a guy from Vietnam's special forces who was a hero in the war, but was wrongly accused of being a traitor. Now he's the most wanted person in Vietnam. Lastly, there's Amarillo, an older man who used to fight in Berlin and got exiled to this place. It turned out Martin would be set free soon. But Steiner thought Martin wouldn't be safe back in the UK because the police were looking for him due to some crime. So Steiner asked Martin to team up and create a strong group. Steiner had a tricky plan, and he was pretty certain that even after Martin was free, he wouldn't be able to stay away from the labor camp for long. But Martin said no to Steiner's offer. He wanted to figure out his own path after leaving the labor camp. Once he was out, Martin didn't know where to go. He didn't have the money or documents he needed. So he decided to visit Isabel's house, where he met Isabel's stepfather, Valentine. While talking to Valentine, Martin asked again about Isabel's habit of sending flowers to Steiner. Valentine explained that Isabel's real mom was married to Steiner, but Steiner accused Isabel's mom of betraying him. To make things worse, Steiner didn't acknowledge Isabel as his own daughter, so Isabel kept sending him flowers, hoping he would accept her as his daughter. Valentine offered Martin a job at his bar. Martin agreed and started working there. Day by day, Martin's life got better and calmer than ever before. He was experiencing a sense of peace that was new to him. He even started a romantic relationship with Isabel. One evening, Valentine's bar was full of customers, and a couple of them got into a fight. So, Valentine asked Martin to step in and get them to leave. But one of the guys didn't want to leave and challenged Martin to a fight. Martin easily won the fight, even against the other guys who jumped in.
Go home. But the idea is to have a fight, shots. That's enough!
The next day, Boone and Rastignac came to the bar. They told Martin that the guy he fought with last night was one of Steiner's fighters. That guy got seriously hurt and couldn't fight anymore. Steiner held Martin responsible for finding a replacement fighter. Steiner was even willing to pay Martin quite a bit if he won the match. However, Martin turned down Steiner's offer. He didn't want to become a fighter. When Rastignac heard Martin's refusal, he threatened Martin, saying that if he didn't cooperate, Steiner and his crew would kick everyone out of the bar. After Rastignac and his group left, Martin talked to Valentine about what happened. Martin felt like he brought bad luck to those around him. Valentine suggested that Martin should just do what Steiner asked. He thought it might be the best option. So, Valentine gave Martin permission to take part in the fight. The next morning, Martin said his goodbyes and went straight to Steiner's office. There he was taken to the fighting arena, where many people had bet on the matches. Martin got into the fight and managed to attack and defeat his opponent. But the fighting didn't end there. He was quickly asked to face the next fighter, and then the one after that. Martin was able to beat all of them, and his wins brought a lot of money to Steiner's group from the bets. Back at the bar, Harrison showed up and talked to Valentine. Harrison was looking for Martin. He told Valentine that Martin was a fugitive because he had killed some people in England while seeking revenge for his brother and father's deaths in battle. Harrison also mentioned that there's a reward of £10,000 for anyone who reveals Martin's whereabouts. Valentine said that Martin used to work at the bar, but he had left somewhere. He declined the reward and asked Harrison to leave. After the fights, Steiner invited Martin for a drink and a chat. Steiner once again proposed that Martin should team up with him and earn a lot of money by participating in fights against other fighters that Steiner would arrange. Steiner also gave Martin a significant amount of money as a reward for his victories that day. One day, Steiner was sitting in his office and typing on an old typewriter. He was writing down his feelings in a document where he finally admitted that Isabel is actually his own daughter. He revealed that Isabel was born to a woman he loved deeply. But Steiner couldn't bear the fact that Isabel's mother cared more about her people than him. Because of this, Steiner stopped acknowledging Isabel as his biological daughter. He placed the letter behind a photo of him and Isabel's mother on their wedding day. After Martin got back to where Valentine was, Valentine asked him to leave that place. Valentine suggested that both Martin and Isabel should head to America to start fresh. As for Valentine, he planned to sell his bar and begin a new life in Thailand. Martin was okay with the plan, but he needed a lot of money to make their escape possible. So he decided to fight one more time to earn enough money. Sometime later, Martin went to see Steiner and told him that he wanted to fight in the next match. Steiner explained that nobody else wanted to go up against Martin, especially when most people were betting on Martin winning. Steiner suggested that Martin should intentionally lose the next fight. Since Martin needed the money, he agreed to Steiner's proposal. In short, it's time for the big fight. The crowd that gathered was all betting on Martin to win. Since Martin had agreed to fake losing, he intentionally let his opponent win the match. But here's the twist. Valentine secretly bet his bar in favor of Martin winning. When Valentine found out that Martin lost, he was shocked. It turned out Rastignac had planned to trap Valentine and take over the bar. An argument broke out when Rastignac showed up at Valentine's bar, demanding him to leave. Isabel overheard and questioned how Martin could lose. Amarillo, with Rastignac's group, explained that it was all part of a plan. Isabel couldn't believe what she was hearing, and she ended up slapping Amarillo. In return, Amarillo slapped Isabel so hard that she fell down. Seeing Isabel hurt, Valentine grabbed his gun, but Rastignac was quick to take the gun from Valentine's hand and shot both Valentine and Isabel.
What are you doing?
Just as Martin arrived at the bar, unaware of what had happened, Rastignac pointed a gun at him and shot him. As Martin and Isabel lay there, apparently dying, Rastignac ordered his men to bury them alive. However, after Rastignac's gang left, Martin regained consciousness and managed to crawl out of the grave. He did everything he could to help Isabel. Luckily, Isabel survived the ordeal. Martin then left Isabel with the local people and focused on training himself for revenge. Day and night, he trained with determination and strength until he felt confident that he could take on Steiner and his gang. One afternoon, Martin heads over to Valentine's bar, which is now under the control of Steiner's gang. Outside the bar, Martin takes down each of Steiner's men, one by one. As he steps inside, he finds Amarillo sitting at the bar. Martin starts a brawl, fighting off all the men in the bar, but Amarillo manages to slip away. Amarillo gets to Steiner's office and alerts him about Martin's return. Steiner assumes Martin has come to steal the money he's earned from gambling. He orders Amarillo to move the money to a safer place. Amarillo rushes with some bodyguards to the cash register to grab the money. Just then, Martin arrives and launches an attack. A shootout breaks out between Martin and Amarillo's guards. Martin successfully takes down all of Amarillo's guards and shoots Amarillo in the hand while he's trying to pack the money into a bag.
This man is so repugnant.
Afterward, Martin tosses a grenade into the cash register, causing it to explode. Despite the chaos, Martin leaves without taking a single penny of Steiner's money. In Steiner's office, soldiers were positioned, ready to confront Martin as he arrived. They held their weapons, getting ready for a fight, while Martin managed to sneak in through a different door. One by one, he managed to take down Steiner's men, although he had to shoot at a few soldiers who confronted him.
Grenade!
Finally, he reached Steiner's office and came face to face with him. But Martin chose to grab a sword and directly thrust it into Steiner's stomach, killing him instantly. Soon after, Boone entered the office. Seeing that Martin didn't have a gun, Boone challenged him to a hand-to-hand fight. It turned out that Boone was incredibly skilled in self-defense. His attacks landed on Martin multiple times, overpowering him. When Boone slammed Martin onto a table, Martin swiftly grabbed his dropped automatic rifle from the floor and shot Boone, ending his life. Next, Martin pursued Rastignac. Outside the labor camp, Rastignac was busy organizing his men to face off with Martin. They had set up automatic rifles strategically to corner Martin. Despite this, Martin managed to incapacitate Rastignac's men with the automatic rifle he had. He then entered a nearby house and took down 2 more of Rastignac's men. Before long, Rastignac entered the house with a gun pointed at Martin. As it turned out, Martin also had his gun aimed at Rastignac. When they both fired, their shots missed. Rastignac quickly escaped in a jeep. Meanwhile, Martin took some wedding photos of Steiner and Isabel along with a letter from Steiner. He sent these to Isabel. When Isabel read the letter, she was overjoyed. She finally learned that Steiner had always known she was his daughter. Rastignac, on the other hand, was hiding in the forest. He struggled to survive as the locals didn't like him. Then, one afternoon, while Rastignac was resting, he found out that Martin had discovered his hiding spot. Feeling too exhausted to evade Martin's pursuit, Rastignac challenged Martin to a hand-to-hand fight.
With the exception of this blade.
But during the fight, Rastignac pulled out a knife and managed to wound Martin. Yet Martin used a kick to disarm Rastignac of the knife. He continued to attack Rastignac until his foe fell down. Finally, using Rastignac's own knife, Martin avenged Valentine's death by stabbing Rastignac. In the movie's closing scene, Harrison visits Martin and plans to take him to England. However, Martin threatens to harm Harrison if he's taken there. Martin strikes a deal with Harrison that ensures he's free from being pursued by the British police. The end. So the moral of the story is, even when things seem tough, don't lose your head, unless it's to headbutt guards teasing someone. Stand up for what's right. Family secrets might surprise you, and if you need to fight, make sure you bring your own revenge. And don't forget to leave with a deal that keeps you free and your pockets empty.